We're going to be talking today about finding high net worth investors for your real estate syndication business. So I just pressed the record button again. I know I already did a little bit of an introduction earlier. So just real quick, I'm Dan Handford, one of the managing partners here at passiveinvesting.com. You can go to our website, passiveinvesting.com, and find out more information about us. You can find out more information about me specifically by going onto the Meet the Team page, clicking on my picture here, and you can find out more information about me here. So let's go ahead and dive right into the topic for today, which is where to go to find these high net worth investors. So we've talked about this before on some of our prior webinars, and I wanted to kind of share with you some other unique ways that you can find high net worth investors. So for those of you who are joining with us live, I want you to get your chat box ready because I'm going to ask a few questions and I want to try to get some interaction from you, okay? Because I want to kind of hear what you guys think. Let me ask you a question here. How many of you would say yes or no as to whether or not you know what an angel investor is? So just type in the chat box, and there's no right or wrong answer. If you know what an angel investor is, type yes or no or whatever. I want to kind of see, because sometimes when I talk about different things, I think that everybody knows about this stuff, right? And I know that there's people that don't know about it, and I'm just curious. All right, so we have yes, 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 no, yes, no, no, yes, yes, yes. All right, so we got a lot of people that really know what angel investing is, and also to a lot of people that don't know what angel investing is. Well, let me ask you this. I'm going to give you a quiz here. Well, an angel investor, just to give you a quick introduction there, an angel investor is an investor who is investing in a company in a very early stage startup. This is before a venture capital firm will come in or private equity or anything like that. It's primarily for those people who are investing on the ground floor of these businesses. And an angel investor a lot of times gets benefits from state tax credits. So to give you an example, in South Carolina, if I invest in an early stage startup, the state of South Carolina, as long as it's an approved angel investment for the state, then I can get a 30 cents on the dollar tax credit for every dollar that I invest in one of those companies. Not a write-off, but a credit, which is very, very powerful and very, very impactful to be able to get those credits. And even if you don't live in the state of South Carolina, you can still invest in South Carolina, get the tax credits, and then sell those tax credits to somebody else and make your money off of those tax credits. So there's a lot of unique things that are happening around this angel investing space. And the reason why they do that is because they know it's a very, very high risk proposition to say, hey, would you invest in my business? It has zero history. I got a plan. I hope it works, right? And so in order to get people to come off their dollar to be able to invest and stimulate the economy with these new businesses that are being created from the ground floor, a lot of times the states will incentivize you to be able to invest. Now, most angel investors aren't putting, like in multifamily, the minimum investments are usually between like $50,000 to $100,000. Most angel investors are not putting in $50,000 to $100,000 in one of these investments. They're usually coming in between about $5,000 to $10,000 on each business. So they need a lot of these investors to be able to raise enough money in the beginning stages to be able to use the angel investment route. But it helps to provide a lot of diversification, and there's also a lot of funds that get created. Like we're part of a group down here in South Carolina called Venture South, and Venture South has a fund that you can invest in, and they will, as they're vetting and doing the due diligence on these different businesses, they actually have a fund that you can invest in, and you're diversified across all of those funds. So you might put in 50 to 100,000, get your tax credits, and they're diversified across 8 to 10 to maybe 15 to 20 different businesses in that portfolio, which is a really cool idea to be able to do that, because the overall returns are hit or miss. I mean, even the best people to try to select, which investments to put in for angel investments still don't make like, unicorn level returns. But typically in angel investing, about 40% of your investments are going to lose money. You won't get your capital back. 40% you'll break even, and then there'll be that 20% that'll do really well, and they'll maybe not unicorn status, but maybe they're really they'll knock it out of the park, and you make 10, 15, 20 times your money, but you're also backing it up for you're actually backing it up for you're making up for the losses that you had on the first 40 to 80% that you were either losing money or breaking even. This is a great space to be able to invest. If you have some extra money, it's not the type of money you're going to invest and expecting a huge return. It's really, if you look at most investments in angel investing, if you take into account the money that you're losing with the 40%, the break evens in the 40%, and then the 20% that'll be home runs, you're looking at about 20% return, maybe 25%, but usually that ballpark is between that kind of 20 to 25% return level. So it's not one of those things that's just going to be a huge win for you, but it is for a lot of people, including myself as an angel investor myself. I enjoy being able to hear other businesses and helping them out, and potentially getting a board seat and be able to help them out on a fiduciary level as well. So there's a lot of different cool things that you can do from an advisory perspective, and as well as from an investing perspective. Now, you might be asking, why are you telling us this? Well, let me ask you this. And again, get your chat box ready, because I want you to respond here. Let me see what you guys say here. True or false? Or you can say, I don't know, right? You could say IDK, I don't know. Do you have to be an accredited investor in order to be an angel investor? Yes or no? Or you could say IDK, I don't know. Yes or no? Do you have to be an accredited investor in order to be an angel investor? All right. So there's a lot of questions here. There's a lot of misconstruction here. So all right. So thank you guys for participating. There's no, yes, question mark. I don't know. The bottom line is, in order to be an angel investor, you must be an accredited investor. So these companies that are attracting investors to be able to invest at an early stage startup, those investors must be accredited investors. They have to submit documentation to show that they're an accredited investor in order for them to invest with you. So now you kind of know where I'm getting at here, right? So hopefully this is like getting your wheels turning a little bit, that you could probably right now, as I'm on this webinar with you, pull up Google and type in, Columbia, South Carolina, angel investing group, or Atlanta, Georgia, or Phoenix, Arizona, or LA. And there's local angel investing groups that you can be a part of and get connected with. And guess what? They're all accredited, because you have to be accredited in order to invest in those different groups. And even if maybe you're thinking right now, I'm just getting started, I'm not accredited, how do I get into these groups? A lot of times you can still be part of the group. You just can't invest unless you're an angel investor, right? So maybe you do want to go in and listen to some of the pitches that these different companies come in with, and you can kind of help and guide and direct, or just be a fly on the wall. But then you get to enjoy the conversations and the time with other people that are in the room that are also accredited investors, right? That can help you with your business as you are going to attract new investors. So again, this is one of those unique ways that is not talked about a lot about, how can you get into a room full of just accredited investors? Well, go research and look up angel investing in your area, and go get in front of those people and be in part of that community. Maybe you want to volunteer and help in that particular venue, if you want, or business, if you will, right? If you need a referral or something like that, Venture South for us has been a great resource to be able to do this. Let me actually see if I can pull up. Yeah. So if you go to Venture South, let's see here. If you go to venturesouth.vc, this is it right here. This is the company this is the group that I work with, right? It's based here in South Carolina. It's one of the top 10 angel investing groups. There you go. So yes, I have been named the top 10 angel investing groups numerous times, right? And they have 550 active accredited investors that are part of their projects, right? And so this is a group that you can go be a part of, become a member, join them, whatever you want to do. And here's even the Angel Capital Association. So you can go to that association website, maybe find some local ones, or who knows, reach out to this group, and some of the people there can connect you with some people that are local in your area, and you can do that. And here's that South Carolina Angel tax credit that I was talking about as well. So you can see that right here. They provide, let's see here, it's actually 35%. So 35% of the investment amount, not 30%. But these are the qualifications to be one of those companies. And as long as, it's good, you're good. But you can see here, the angel investor must be accredited per SEC rules, right? So you have to be an accredited investor in order to invest in these types of investments. So I bring all this up to give you an opportunity to kind of learn that, to kind of figure out that there's other ways other than the traditional go to a local RIA meetup and try to find accredited investors, right? There are other opportunities for you to be able to find these high net worth investors. And one of them is to become an angel investor yourself, or at least get involved with the groups that are local in your market as well. Okay. So let's see here. There's one question that came in here about the debt fund. Let me see. I'll answer that one a little bit later. Can you use the tax credit against active income or only passive income? So the tax credit is against your state income. So if it's a complete, it's actually not it's not against the income. Excuse me. It's against the taxable liability. So it's a credit. So if you owe a certain amount of money in taxes, that credit's going to offset that amount that you owe in taxes. That's how those credits work. So if you at the end of the year have to owe, $50,000 in taxes to the state, and you have a $10,000 tax credit, then now you only have to pay $40,000, right? So that's the nice thing about that, is being able to use those tax credits to be able to offset the taxable liability that you actually owe to your state, right? It doesn't typically work for the federal side of things. It's primarily towards just the state. So it's pretty much can be used towards anything from a tax perspective, right? One question in here was from about the debt fund. With your debt fund, is it usually collateralized by the real estate? The answer to that is yes. It is always collateralized by the real estate. And it says, I would assume you all are investing in real estate deals. Yes, that is correct. So you can create debt funds for alternative investments and things like that for businesses or lines of credit, things like that. But ours is always collateralized with the real estate, underlying real estate, and is when we're always in a first lien position. So this person's asking this because before I press the record button, I talked about our private lending intensive that's coming up here in September. In about 2 weeks, our private lending intensive, September 18th and 19th. It's a 2-day real intensive around how to get started with your own private lending business. So if you're interested in that, you can go to our website there, find out more information about it, and register. Would love to have you there. It's not a very large event, 20, 30 people tops, and it'll be very, very hands-on when it comes to that event. So we also have that in the chat box there, the link that just popped up too. Thank you for that. And let's see. All right. So where to go find high net worth investors? So I shared with you about the angel investments. I'm going to refer you to our other YouTube videos that I have talked about other opportunities and ways to find accredited investors. But that's one unique area and one unique thing that I really haven't talked a lot about. And I wanted to share that with you. So for sake of time, I got about 5 more minutes left. I want to answer the rest of these questions here and then open it up for another maybe 3 or 4 minutes for some questions that you might have as well in regards to some of this information. So, all right. So how to get yourself in front of many high net worth investors. We kind of already mentioned that with answering the first question here. But one of the things that you can do is volunteering for some of these groups, and also maybe introducing some of the businesses that are pitching their angel investment groups, but also just getting in front of these people by volunteering, whether it be in a board meeting, board seats, or a trustee, or volunteer for local nonprofits, things like that. It can be very, very impactful there. How to talk to these high net worth investors when you first meet them. Again, this is one of those things that will make or break whether or not you can be successful in raising money from high net worth investors. If you just go up to high net worth investors at some of these meetings and you just say, hey, I'm Dan Handford with passiveinvesting.com. I wanted to tell you about my, real estate business. And I know you're an accredited investor, so you'd be able to invest with us because we only accept accredited investors, yada, 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 right? Well, the problem is they're going to probably put up a big brick wall right out of the gate, right? Because you haven't done a very, very important thing first, which is build rapport. You have to be able to build rapport before you just start going in there for the sale, right? I'm definitely a big believer in always be closing, ABC, right? Always be selling, whatever you want to call it. But you also have to make sure that you are doing it in the right way. And that, especially when it comes to these types of investments, you don't want to come across as being very pushy. You want to be able to come across as somebody who is very knowledgeable and is very confident and is also not desperately seeking the next investor, right? And so a lot of times what I like to do is I like to talk to people about what they are, who they are. Like, well, tell me a little about yourself and what you do. And I get to learn a little bit more about them. And then, of course, normally when that happens, what are they going to say? Oh, well, tell me a little bit about you. What do you do? And that opens up that door, right? It opens up that door where I get to talk a little bit about my investment firm and the private equity business and real estate and the types of returns we produce and our track record and kind of an elevator style type pitch of it, if you will. And usually one of two things happens. The person will either lean in a little bit more and want to, be they're very intrigued and they want to learn more, or they'll step back and they'll kind of like retract a little bit and they won't really care about it as much, right? And so the one that I read and I see that doesn't care about it as much, I'm not usually going to spend as much time trying to talk them through things and convince them or anything like that. If they're interested, they know what I do, they can reach back out to us. But for the person who leans in a little bit further and they want more information, that's the cue. That's the opportunity for you to jump in there and really educate them on what you do, and maybe even get them to the next level of scheduling a phone call with you, or getting on the email list, or the mailing list if you're doing a physical printed newsletter like we do with our group. So the biggest thing there is you do not want to come across as a used car salesman when it comes to these types of investments. You want to be very diplomatic about it, if you will. Now, what happens if you've never done a deal before, right? Well, if you've never done a deal before, then sometimes it's a little bit more challenging because they might say, well, what about your track record? Or, have you ever done these before? And this is also why I always say it's always best in the beginning when you're getting started to partner with another private equity group first, another syndication firm, to be able to help you build up, if you will, and help you be able to get to the point of getting that track record, that credibility to the sellers, to the brokers, and that way, and also to the investors, right? And that way, you have this track record, you have this credibility before you start to actually do your very first deal. But then it also gives you the opportunity to have something to show them, right? Because you have something that you have done now with another group. Hey, here's the type of investment that we have done in the past. But you get to share that with them and provide that with them and have them physically see something. And maybe you don't have it with you right away, but you could say, well, if you're interested, I'll shoot you an email when I get back to the office, and I will give you one of our our investor offering memorandums or pitch decks to share with you a little bit about what we do and how we put things together and how we structure things and kind of what's in it for you, right? And that's a great opportunity for you to build your list, because now you've gotten their email and hopefully you've gotten their phone number, and now you have a way to follow up and continue to contact them after you've left them, right? And so those are some of the ideas and the strategies that I have to be able to help you be able to attract and kind of find some of these high net worth investors. And so I would encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and type in finding investors, and you'll find some other webinars that we've done that give a list of 7 or 10 or 15 different ways to attract these and find these high net worth investors. But today, really focusing on that one specific unique thing of these angel investments and these angel investing groups to be able to find those investors. So I'm going to open it up for some questions here. I do see a few that have come in here. So if you have a question for me, feel free to type it into the chat box. If not, thank you so much for being here, and make sure that you register for our private lending intensive, which is coming up in 2 weeks. And so let me see here. A question here. Where is the best place to look for bonus depreciation this year? Since the rates are so high, the LTV is affecting this in multifamily. That's a great question. I mean, you could buy an airplane if you want to. Right now there's still some great depreciation. I think it's still 80% on the aviation side of things. So buy an airplane and mortgage it or leverage it, and you can still have those the high depreciation and depreciating the entire asset up to 80%. And so there's some things like that you could do. I don't know if that's something you'd be interested in, but there are some opportunities there. We also have with some of our investments, we've been doing some car wash funds. We are now on our 7th car wash fund, and we don't have anything available right now for investment, but those investors will reap some really good benefits from a depreciation perspective, because there's a lot of depreciation when it comes to those express car washes. But when it comes to the real estate and the multifamily and this even self-storage and hotels, it's very, very challenging because it's been challenging because of the, like you said, the LTVs are way out of whack. And when the LTVs are lower, you have to raise more money. And so the more money you bring in, the less depreciation is kind of spread across a larger list of people. So it's a little bit challenging from that perspective. So all right, let's see here. What if I have a deal? Will you partner with me? So we don't have any kind of program or opportunities available for that right now, Alfred. It is a good question, and we have entertained it in the past, but at this point, we don't actually have any opportunities to partner with you if you have a deal or a project. I know there's lots of other people out there that do. If you want to go to our website, our Facebook page, we have a Facebook group for the MFIN, and you could maybe post your deal on there, and as long as, of course, it's 506 Charlie, and it's for accredited investors only, or at least presenting the fact that you want to find more information about find out more information about getting partners, right? So you can post on there that you're looking for partners for a particular project and things like that. So there's definitely some opportunities for it. So make sure that you check that out. The links are right there on the page for our closed Facebook group for the MFIN as well as our Facebook page. So let me see. Let me make sure there's not any other questions here. I think that is it. So thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to seeing you here in a couple of weeks of the Private Lending Intensive right here in our offices in Columbia, South Carolina, rubbing shoulders with you, enjoying lunch with you, enjoying a dinner with you, and also sharing with you some additional details in regards to how to get that private lending business started for you. So thank you so much for being here. Look forward to having you next week. Next week, you can see here on the screen, we're going to be talking about how to make money as a private lender using a debt fund. So if you're interested and you're curious, next week, we're going to have Kelly Garrett, who's going to be hosting the intensive next week. So she's going to be talking about some of these different ideas, some of these different things around fees and rates, and do the GPs invest, and what are the typical rates we're paying investors, things like that, and how that works. So make sure you register for that webinar if you're interested. We also look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks as well. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.